I thought the ICE and DEA agents had an arrest warrant for the illegal.
They did. That's why they went there, and she put them down the hallway.
It was an administrative warrant, yeah.
So therefore, her job is not a judicial decision, certainly not an ideological political decision. All she had to do was administer the warrant.
Right.
So therefore, she's in a heap of trouble. I don't know how anybody can argue against that.
Well, well, well. It's always the ones in the robe who think they're above the law. Today, we're talking about Judge Hannah Dugan. Yes, a Democrat judge who allegedly turned her courtroom into a sanctuary tunnel. Buckle up. This one is juicy. Hannah Dugan, appointed in Milwaukee County, known for her social justice flair and progressive politics. Legal aid? Yes. Advocacy? Sure. But upholding the law? That's where the resume gets murky. Judge Dugan didn't just interpret the law. She allegedly rewrote it for her own beliefs. Now listen to this. ICE was inside the courtroom to detain Eduardo Flores Ruiz, an illegal immigrant who had already been deported once. But instead of letting the law do its thing, Judge Dugan allegedly helped this man exit through a secure hallway so he could slip past federal agents like it was some courtroom escape room.
You're looking live right now outside of the Milwaukee County Courthouse. Now, this is a group of Latino activists. They're protesting the arrest of Judge Hannah Dugan. And as you'll remember, the FBI arrested Dugan Friday for allegedly trying to help an illegal immigrant evade ICE. She allegedly let Eduardo Luis Flores outside of a door. It was a private door at the jury room. People don't go in and out of there. Defendants certainly don't. But in this case, Eduardo Flores Ruiz did. That's what the government's telling us. He's facing charges for almost beating his roommate to death and punching his girlfriend in the head. He was in the criminal courtroom for that reason when he was let out. Now, Judge Dugan knew those details, yet she's accused of letting him escape through that door, and the left ignored those facts. And instead, what did they do? They quickly defended the judge while blasting the Trump administration for the arrest.
Now they're arresting judges, and the first felony criminal charge brought against Judge Hannah Dugan in Wisconsin is interfering with a legal proceeding, which is essentially what they've been doing all along.
I think this was a distraction from the first weakness on the economy.
If federal enforcement agencies come to your courtroom and you help a guy escape, that is two things. One, it strikes me as maybe something illegal, but it also strikes me as something heroic.
The arrest of the judge in Wisconsin, again, not isolated, felt jarring.
They relish the opportunity to go after judges.
It's not like we didn't know it was going to be terrible, and it is terrible. He really did have a judge arrested today. Arresting a judge today. Are you kidding me?
But not so fast. I thought no one was above the law.
No American is above the rule of law. The same rules apply to everyone.
No one is above the law.
The basic concept of the rule of law in our history has been the idea that no one is above the law.
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 So that was all for Trump, but the illegal immigrants, they are above the law for these leftists. Interesting how the tune has changed. But Borders Czar Tom Homan is standing firm.
I can't believe there's any elected official, and especially a judge, that doesn't believe we should be doing that, and they should be helping us. What I said from day one, you can sit aside and watch, you can argue against us all you want and protest all you want, but when you cross that line, and I've said this 1,000 times, when you cross that line to impediment or knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien device, you will be prosecuted, judge or not.
Now she's staring down charges of obstruction of justice and harboring an illegal alien. If convicted, she could face up to 10 years in prison. And they don't give robes in orange.
Judge who engages in plain, direct, overt, intentional, and willful violation of those federal laws, of course they'll be arrested and of course they belong in jail.
I'm all for compassion, but not when it's at the cost of the law. You don't get to pick and choose which federal rules apply on Monday, depending on your mood. And doesn't this feel like a thing? Progressive women in power using their platforms not to uplift, but to protect lawlessness, especially when it fits the Biden-Soros narrative. These aren't isolated mistakes. This is an ideological mission from coast to coast. They protect everyone except you, the tax-paying American.
The fiction brush with which the media is using and these sobbing liberal talking heads are using, they are totally isolating and saying, a judge was arrested. Correct. And we've seen in this country, irrespective of vocations, plenty of people arrested for felonies similar like that. It doesn't matter what your day job is, guys. What matters is your behavior. And if you engage in felonious or illegal conduct, you're going to be arrested. It is laughable to me that they are somehow insinuating, and their hundreds of viewers are thus receiving the message that a judge was arrested for refusing to comply with President Trump's or the law enforcement agency's executions of the orders. That's not what happened. A judge was arrested for breaking the law. And I would love to see, final thought, an interview, not with talking heads or bleeding liberals or any of these people, but I would love to see the interviews of those two victims, the one who was almost beaten to death and the girlfriend, so they can testify as to how it feels to have the perp be let free because someone has a conscience. I find it despicable.
Molly, this isn't the first time this happened. I was really struck by this passage from NBC. Here's what it said. In 2019, during Trump's first term, the U.S. attorney in Boston charged a Massachusetts judge and a court officer with obstruction of justice for allegedly aiding an undocumented immigrant in leaving the courthouse through a back exit to avoid arrest. But listen to this. Prosecutors reached a deal to drop the charges in 2022 under then-President Joe Biden's administration, with the case instead going to review at the State Judicial Commission. So President Biden just let this person off.
Let's be real. This ain't about race or roots. This is about the rule of law. If a conservative judge had helped someone dodge federal law, they'd be trending for treason. But because she's aligned with the Dem machine, it's suddenly a human rights moment. Miss me with that. Justice isn't a costume, it's a calling. And if you're not here to protect the people, then step off the bench. Y'all don't let the role fool you. Power without principles is just like politics, and we're done playing pretend. Please subscribe, share, and drop a comment. Should judges be charged when they shield illegals? Or should this dishonorable judge be held accountable to the full extent of the law? Can't wait to hear from you. Bye-bye.